Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. This is the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey, or in tonight's case, rum, and other wonderful products that Turner Wathen is bringing to us. Turner, welcome back to Bourbon Turntable.
Hello, great to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you back. And we'll get in with Turner and get a little more background on him, get caught up in just a second. But before we do that, I want to tell everybody about Bar Cart Co-op. Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who produce content for the whiskey enthusiast. Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. They talk with distillers from across the country, around the world, about anything and everything in terms of distillation. Alan also has a show called One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. On that show, you can send him questions about whatever you're stumped on, whatever you're curious about in terms of uh, a distilling issue, and Alan will post a video response to it. Alan also has a show called If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. And this is a program that diverges from talking about whiskey and spirits and gets into the spiritual and the supernatural and the unusual and Bigfoot and UFOs and you name it. He's probably talked about it. My Whiskey Den with Pat and Mike and Mitch every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. They come on live and you can listen in. You can join in with the folks in the chat. They always have great guests or wonderful tastings that they're going through. It's always a lot of fun. And last but certainly not least is Whiskey in My Wedding Ring with David Levine. David is an excellent writer. He's got a great blog. He's also interviews great distillers and get some wonderful information out of him. If you're ever wondering, is this something I've never heard of, but I see it in the store. Do I want to buy it? Search David's blog. If he's got a review on it, you can pretty much trust it. I know that I do. And I also want to tell you about our show. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate that. If you're listening, then you're probably on Apple, Spotify, or Google, and we appreciate you doing that as well. And we'll tell you a little bit more about all of that later. But right now, we want to get into talking with Turner and getting caught up with him. Turner, I had Ken Schreiner on the show a few weeks ago. Ken started a spirits company of his own, and he mentioned that one of his great 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 grandfathers worked with what was probably your great 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 grandfather and
Great uncle. Yeah,
uncle. Okay. So I thought that was pretty cool that the two of you have that kind of related history, but didn't know each other.
yeah.
So I think he's excited to get a chance to meet with you and talk with you and trade notes, trade family trees or something.
Yeah, we've been conversing. I look forward to connecting with them.
Yeah. So Turner, you started Rolling Fork Spirits how long ago?
We went commercial in 2016.
Okay. Wow. I didn't realize it had been that long. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what was the inspiration to start the company?
I mean it's backed by the name, just that just like what Ken's doing. That I've you meet a lot of us. Either we're kind of attracted to the art and the craft,
Mm-hmm.
where you meet guys like Alan Bishop or Royce Neal. Well, Royce, he kind of ties into Ken and I, where some of us just kind of have kin to this game that go back, centuries or a century, and we care about it. So
Yeah.
for stupidity or passion, we want to be a part of this spirit's endeavor.
Yeah.
And some people just get jobs in it, and some people. When my partner and I started, we either said we got to wait till we're 60 and we have a lot of money potentially to do it,
Right.
or fuck it, let's do it now and figure it out. And we went the latter model.
Okay. Yeah. And 8 years later, things have really grown.
Still in business.
Well, that's a good sign. Um, and you started out, it was the Rolling Fork series, right?
Oh
Is that
no,
kind
I
of?
mean we started our first product was Fortuitous Union. And
Oh, I
then
didn't
we
realize
did
that.
yep. Then we did an small batch El Salvador
Uh huh.
in 2018, and then we really started exploring single barrels in 2019.
Yeah. Okay. And then while we're talking about Fortuitous Union, I have a bottle, not one of the original releases of it. This is,
What's the 3-digit letter code next to the 6-digit barrel number?
it is WLR.
All right, so that's a blend of Barbados, Jamaican rums,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there was some Dominican in there. I have to go back and check. Blended with rye whiskey and then put into a Weller cask
Yep.
for an additional 17 months.
Yeah. And weighs in at 55.9 alcohol by volume. So um, that's pretty stout. So I guess that's at cast strength then, right?
Uh huh.
A lot of what you do is cast strength, isn't it?
Everything we did, everything that we've done for the past 6 years is cast strength.
Mm-hmm.
We just released a product called Heart of Gold, which is our cocktail play,
Mm-hmm.
which was is not cast strength. It's 101 proof, and
Yeah.
that's an homage to you can guess who made 101 popular.
Yeah. Uh, uh, yeah, because I like that you've done that because all the other products that you had that you have had up to this point, I've been hesitant to put them in cocktails because I like them so much on their own. But I'm pleased to see that you have an option that's kind of geared towards that. Tell me a little bit about what I was in Heart of Gold.
Yeah, so that's a blend of 3 different varieties of Jamaican rum. It has some 3-year-old Worthy Park, some 2-year-old Worthy Park, and some 1 year unaged Clarendon, and then 3-year-old Foursquare. And that
Okay.
was all aged in Borden, Indiana, at the Starlight Distillery, where we do all our aging.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't just have someone have a blender make us a blend and send it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, to make this cost effective long term, I think we will have to go that route. But this first batch was all aged in house. We picked the 4 barrels, we blended them together, we
Yeah.
proofed them down to 101.
Mm-hmm. So you and your partner did the blend.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's great. I like that. Now, on the other products that you have that are blends, are you blending those as well? Like the blend that you did for Fortuitous Union? Is that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
To date, everything we've done, we've blended ourselves.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take a sip of this Fortuitous Union while we're talking, if you don't mind. Don't know if you've got anything handy to drink tonight or not.
Yeah, I do.
I would hope so. This the rum really comes through on this. I don't know what percentage is rum, what percentage is rye, but the rum really shines through on the nose at least.
It was supposed to be 60-40,
Mm-hmm.
and we accidentally left out 2 barrels of rye. So it ended up being 80-20 rum to
Mm,
rye. I think you get a little bit of rye at the finish,
I would
but,
agree.
but on
Yeah.
the nose, it's all Jamaican.
Yeah.
And on the front palate, it's all Jamaican. I think
Yeah.
it smooths out. So for the consumer that doesn't love funky or high ester products,
Mm-hmm.
the nose would probably be unappealing, but then once you get to the finish, it's quite nice.
Yeah. It's the palate's um like maple taffy and brown sugar and vanilla. So uh, definitely still leaning on that rum, but I think it introduces other notes to it as well, and kind of softens that, like you were talking about. I think I get a little mint on the finish, which is probably from the rye.
Yep. Yeah, and we did some in Woodford double oak barrels,
Yep.
which are kind of lightly charred but mainly toasted. And because they're not fully charred, you get a lot of mint or menthol from the oak in those. And it's like the first 6 to 9 months of aging, it's really green.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally softens out once you get past 17 months, it softens out and you get a lot more of those vanillins and rich caramels that are so accustomed with, the Woodford double oak brand anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Other things that you've put out, other products that you've put out since you were on here last. There is this. I don't believe you had a Lost Cask series the last time we talked. Tell us about
I don't
that.
know if we did, yeah. So
Yeah.
our Lost Cask series was an objective to introduce rare and hard to find single casks that really don't have any secondary maturation. So there's no barrel swapping.
Mm-hmm.
It stayed in its original cask for its lifetime until we bottled it. And it was our attempt to pay homage to the producers and distillers of the fine bottles of Lost Cask that we bottle, because we really wanted to have nothing to do to it other than the selection of the actual cask.
Yeah. Okay. And how long have you been doing the Lost Cask then?
We're going on about year 3 now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that you started this so just after you were on with us the last time, and that's probably been, I don't know, year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Too long, whatever it is, because
Yeah.
I see you out places and think, man, we got to get Turner back on here because he's doing some really cool stuff. Is there a specific one of these that you're most fond of?
There's one that we did from. I actually have a bottle right here. There's one that we did from the Bellevue Distillery in Guadalupe. It was a 22-year-old, and the Bellevue Distillery predominantly does cane juice. But in the late 90s, they would do molasses runs, mainly to make rum for baking purposes.
Okay.
And we got a hold of one of their barrels that was molasses-based distillate, not cane juice. And it's a little bit of a unicorn, but that one was really phenomenal. That one reminds me a lot of what we're going to talk about later in the Wayward Cask.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got the Wayward, and we'll get to this in just a second, but I got the Wayward Cask bottle, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, but I've opened it, but I've not tried it yet. I wanted to try it with you on the show, so I'm looking forward to it. It's been tough not to dive into that thing. And most recently, I think we talked a little. I mentioned the Wheated Cask Wonder. That's brand new, isn't it? Or close to it.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I think Sealbox has some pre-sold. We pre-sold a couple on our website, and it'll hit general market. It'll specifically only go to Kentucky, Indiana, Texas, Kansas, and Missouri.
Wow.
And then online retail, because we sell rum. So it's hard to depict. It's hard to predict how much we can actually sell.
Right.
And so we only did a 4-barrel small batch, which yielded 155 6-pack cases.
Oh, wow.
And it sold in a week.
Wow. So what? Obviously, by the name, it
It's
says that you've aged it in uh, wheated cask. I guess wheated bourbon cask. Is that what's going on here?
yeah. What's the picture of that? What's on that picture? What is that? Is that a wizard?
It's a wizard. Yes, it looks like a wizard. Is
Yeah,
that?
we were going to call it the Wizard of Frankfurt. Now, who is in Frankfurt that has a weeded bourbon that
Hmm.
is akin to a wizard?
Well, there are.
It sure is Van Winkle.
Definitely.
It sure
Oh,
is 10-year-old Rip Van Winkle barrels.
really? Very cool.
That's the purpose of the wizard. Yep.
Ah, I like it. I like it, man. So,
And
how many
that's the
barrels?
ORVW, Old Rip Van Winkle, down at the barrel code number.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, very cool. I love it. Very cool. Yeah, you've got there are little subtleties on a lot of your labels, like the rolling fork uh, has the mermaid and everything on there. Um, so yeah, who does your labels for you?
Jordan runs most of the design. I'm there to compliment as well, and then we work with a guy that's from Louisville, but he lives in California. His name's Bill Green. Shout out to
Hmm.
Bill Green. He does all our label work.
Yeah, yeah. All your labels are fantastic. They're really really clever. They're smart, and they look good. They stand out. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily it doesn't affect obviously what's in the bottle, but it does affect the overall economics of it and the buying experience of it. And quite frankly, when you're doing cool things like this, putting the wizard on there, uh, that that's just very clever. I like that. It's very smart.
Well,
Very
we're
smart.
we're very passionate about what's inside of the bottle, but it has to be attractive
Yeah.
and it has to be different. And those are 2 points that we try to focus on whenever we are going to put something out there.
Yeah. Uh, so the the last one. Well, before we get to, I want to hold off on the talking about the Wayward Cast for
Yeah.
just a second because that's fairly new, and you've been at this 8 years now. Is there something that if you could go back to 2016 or any point between now and then, is there something that you think I would do this differently?
Yeah, I'd buy a shit ton of MGP bourbon. That's exactly what I would do differently.
Because if I remember correctly, you and your partner were making a decision between getting into bourbon or getting into rum, and you chose rum, um, and uh, I sense that there's a little regret there, but I think what you guys have done with rum, as far as capturing the imagination or the curiosity of the bourbon market, has been a really strong thing.
I'm very pleased with where we are. Um, I think that rum still has a lot to go in the U.S. economy
Hmm.
and the U.S. consumer space. Bourbon is an easier sell, especially when you're dealing with distributors.
Right.
And having a large variety of rum is very difficult to explain to distributors. But I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in our mission now set forward to really be the best independent ballers we can be and educators of spirits.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you guys have done a really good job at staying true to uh, sourcing from people that you trust, and uh, you're not taking shortcuts with that, and I think that comes through with your end product as well.
Yeah, we're not, and we're going to be a terrapure. I mean,
Uh,
they don't exist anymore, so I can say it.
so what's the thing that do you see yourself competing with other uh, rum companies, or do you see yourself competing with bourbon companies just because of where you are in the marketplace?
Both,
Both,
both.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We've had distributors pick us up and shelf us because they didn't want to impact their rum portfolio. And we're complementary to bourbon.
Hmm.
For every time that a 7-year-old bourbon sells for $220, a rum drinker can be born. I would,
Yeah.
and I still think there's a lot of room for growth in what we're doing, and also in the
Mhm.
rum category. But it is, we're U.S. is dominated by bourbon, and that's okay.
Yeah. Um, how are you? How do you try to position yourself then alongside bourbon? Because I think you guys are, to me anyway, you're uniquely, you're in a unique spot to be able to peel off bourbon enthusiasts into what you're doing with rum.
And we do that by, offering non-chill filter. We follow all the traditional bourbon standards. So
Hmm.
non-chill filtration, no additives, no water added, no proofing down unless it's a particular product like Heart of Gold,
Right.
cask strength. We want, we're one of the first ones to first US bottlers to really promote age statements
Hmm.
and particular jurisdictions, because that's what that's what craft consumers are looking for. They want
Hmm.
to see if it's an age stated or non-age stated product, and they want to know from the front or back label what it is they are going to decide to drink. And the best marketed bourbons, in the past 20 years have really been followed those trend categories, and so we stick to those.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I mean, because you look at like this bottle prominently just says right there, 14 years. Uh, this Calvados prominently says 25 years. Um, and you're right. That's going to appeal to the bourbon guy because that's the stuff that they're wanting to know. Where's this from? How old is it? What's in this bottle? And you're the non-chill filtered cask strength. You're playing right into the hymn book for the
Type
bourbon
of
lover.
still, type of fermentation, length of fermentation.
Mhm. Yeah. Now at this point, is everything that you're doing still sourced, or have you established some sort of uh, rum distilling on your own?
We last December we started our own rum wash with Royce at Neely Family Distillery.
Okay.
And so we found this old Jamaican distiller's book, and Royce and Jordan kind of led the charge because they're the only two without kids. And I piggybacked, but Royce does wild yeast. So
Hmm.
we wanted to do a wild yeast double pot Kentucky rum.
Interesting.
And we bought a couple thousand gallons of two different types of molasses from Louisiana
Hmm.
and shipped it up. And we started the fermentation. And you either check the sugar levels, or you can check the ABV.
Hmm.
And we had particular points we wanted to meet. We also wanted to do a plus 14-day fermentation.
Oh.
Well, once we got to 14 days, there was more sugar to burn. So we kept it going.
Hmm.
And then Royce went out of town, and Jordan and I went out of town. We ended up doing a 41-day fermentation. I think that was the longest that anything had been fermented in the United States last year.
That's wild.
And we just started our second batch 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So when will this product be on market?
I think we're gonna. I think we'll start selling some out of the Neely family gift shop here shortly.
Great.
It's a learning curve for us. Everything's a learning curve. We're still trying to figure it all out, and if you do one thing, it takes time away from the other things you're doing. So
Right.
we buy from brokers. We're working on direct import relationships with distilleries, and we're starting to work on our own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you say that you put time on something else. It takes time away from other things that you're doing. But that hadn't kept you guys from just being extremely prolific in the offerings that you have and the variety of those things. Going through the standard Rolling Fork series, to the Lost Cask series, to Fortuitous Union, and the Heart of Gold that you've come out with recently, and then the wheated cask wonder, and the Wayward Cask, which we'll talk about in just a minute. That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
It's exhausting, and it's also a response to the market.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of those single barrels really went gangbuster over COVID.
Mm.
And then so we went hard on single barrels. And then you saw, a dip. Once COVID started to die down, there's a gluttony of single barrels at the retail store.
Right.
So retailers really don't want to buy anymore. And you also saw restaurants start to come back alive and the bar scene start to recover. So, oh fuck, we gotta go. Let's go figure out how to play to the bars. Let's make Heart of Gold. And then the Wheated Cask Wonder. No one's buying single barrels right now. Okay, let's come up with 4-barrel small batches that can meet chain needs. All of these iterations, while we put a lot of time and passion to them, they're an economic response to the market.
Yeah. How do you stay in tune with what the market is doing? Because you're not a big corporation, right? So how do you stay in touch with what's going on? Because you're clearly doing things, like you say, in response to the market. And it's just not one thing, two things. You've done several different things to respond to those market changes. How do you tap into that?
So 20% of it is guessing. 20% is a complete guess.
Yeah.
25% of it is the fortunate relationships that we have with other producers and bartenders and restaurant owners and retail stores. So retail store owners just asking questions, staying in touch with relationships and asking the right questions. Yeah. Looking for information and news. There's a guy that writes a daily article, which if you don't subscribe to it, you totally should, called Mark Brown. I think he used to work for Sazerac. But he does a daily morning post that covers the spirits market from non-alcoholic drinks to RTDs to beer to wine to subcategories of spirits, tequila, mezcal, vodka, bourbon. And it's my coffee read. It's great. And I would say 50% of it is guessing, and the other part is using information to is plugging into our friends and relationships to see what they're seeing.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work either way, but it's better to do that work than it is to double down on something that you're doing and you're behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to make sure that before we'll get into the Wayward Cask in just a second. I've kind of threw this together just where everybody can find you guys on Instagram, websites, and where they can buy from. So tell everybody how they can stay in touch with what's going on with you and your Rolling Fork.
Yeah, the best way to follow us is really through Instagram and social media. We've got a phenomenal social media guy, and shout out to Tyler Zoller. And that's where you'll get a real feel for the brand owners. Jordan and I are our sense of intelligence and or stupidity, and we're always plugging and talking about what we're doing. And you'll always see videos of us in the Ricks, where's our happy place to be. And then if you want to look at, if you always reach out to us on Instagram, it's going to go to the founders. So it's going to eventually come back to us.
Okay.
So it's a great way to reach out to us. And then if you go to rollingforkrum.com, you can find products of ours for sale, and you can sign up for our newsletter if you want to do that. I always thought newsletters were stupid, but it turns out they do have some value.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are the two best platforms. But
Yep.
Blake has been a huge supporter of ours at Sealbox, so we're always going to support him. But yeah, Instagram, social media, Instagram, and Sealbox and rollingforkrum.com.
Yeah, and Instagram, your Instagram feed is really nice. Some gorgeous pictures of your product and information out there. So, yeah, I highly encourage anybody to make sure you're following Rolling Fork Rum and Wayward Cask on Instagram, and you can obviously check out their website for more information. And yeah, I was kind of like you. I thought, okay, newsletters are kind of dumb, and then, but it's good information. But if you subscribe to tons of them, it does become a little overwhelming. Okay,
my favorite newsletter is Mark Brown.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm absolutely going to check that out. So, Wayward Cask.
Whoa.
I'm excited about this. So, this is a 25-year Calvados.
So it's a 25-year Calvados, which Calvados is, for lack of better terminology, and I'm not an expert, so nobody go to Reddit me or whatever, but the Calvados is a subset of French distilled, quote unquote, brandy, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And Calvados can either be apple or pear. This is 100% apple.
Okay.
So it's distilled on an omelet still, which is just a plated copper still. And it's aged in either seasoned or toasted French oak. So it's not charred New American oak, which is why French spirits can get the age ranges that they have.
Mm-hmm. This is gorgeous.
It is, man. It is.
And I definitely get the apple. I also get some peach. There's some toffee and just a hint of big red gum.
I get a lot of toffee. I get the apples. I get a little bit of apricot. And it just kind of has this slightly musky feel.
Yeah.
Almost. And the mouthfeel is phenomenal. It's a long finish.
Yeah. It's on the palate, it's like candied apples and brown sugar, cinnamon and toffee. And you're right, that finish, a little bit of pepper dancing around. The toffee and cinnamon are there, and the apple just, man, it stays forever. This is gorgeous. Congratulations, Turner. This is outstanding.
Well, all we did was buy it and put a
Well,
label on it.
well, I understand that.
But
And to be 100% honest, most of the time, if it's somebody buying something and just putting a label on it, it's not going to be that interesting to me. But given the uniqueness of this product and the care that I know that you guys take into selecting uh, what goes in your bottles and behind your labels, it's a different ball game.
it's so, the Wayward Cask was birthed. We're out at the Starlight Distillery,
Hmm.
which is run by the Huber family.
Right.
And before the Hubers started making Starlight whiskey or Indiana bourbon, they were they're agricultural farmers. They produce wines. And Ted Huber, the patriarch of the Starlight, brands, he's a brandy fan. And they have their own brandy, which I would highly recommend trying their Applejack 10-year bonded brandy. It's phenomenal.
Mm.
But Ted he's a huge brandy fan. And he one day said to Jordan, if you guys could ever figure out how to import French spirits, we would be game. And this all started off of a dare, which is really
It started as a dare. Okay.
It did. It's a very expensive dare. It's a very expensive dare.
What was the dare?
Ted just dared Jordan to see if we could start a fucking brandy company.
Okay. And so that
all the other shit that we're doing, we started a French import company.
and you not only have the Calvados, you've got Armagnac as well.
So we've got now coming in house. We've bottled 5 barrels. We've got 15 barrels in house, and we're importing in another 28 more.
Wow.
So we'll be up to we'll be well over 45 barrels of French spirits that range from the 1980s up to the early and mid 2000s.
Wow.
And we always talk about old dusties, old dusty bourbons.
Right.
And there ain't no more old dusty bourbon sitting in barrels.
No.
It's all bottled. So we can't get that.
Right.
But we might be able to find something of ilk and of quality that matches that old dusty description of the 80s and 90s and pre-80s. And if everyone's going to talk about it and write about it, we're going to be the 2 idiots to go do it. And so we went to the farmlands of Gascony, France, and introduced ourselves and humbled ourselves to what they were doing, and were polite and didn't say anything too arrogant or stupid, and built some connections.
So you pretended you were from Canada and not American, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And we showed our respects and earned their trust. And the romanticism of what French spirits can be or is how we popularized and romanticized Kentucky bourbon, which is no longer true today. Like if you go into a major Kentucky producer, it's a massive operation.
Right.
Well, in the farmlands of France, Kevin, you don't need a commercial permit to have a barrel in your garage. So You can have your own barrel of
Right.
spirits in your own garage for your family. You don't need a commercially approved, firewall protected, sprinklered outfit to produce French brandy.
Right.
You can do it, out of a farmhouse.
The regulations aren't there
They aren't
to
there.
prevent you from doing the things you want to do.
So how we romanticize American whiskey is really how they are actually, these are farmers that are usually pig farmers that just grow grapes on the side, that then a roving still will come around town between October and March, and they can sign up to use that still in that 4 or 5 month period. But they're pig farmers, and they're farmers. They're not massively conglomerated or operations. They're not these commercialized organizations. They're just people that we built relationships with that happen to be beholding some amazing stocks.
Yeah. And I've heard other people talk about that, and very much the similar way that you are. Are they starting to catch on that what they have, to what they have, and are attitudes starting to change over there about what they're doing with the barrels that they have?
We'll see where we are in 2 years.
Okay.
Well, because a lot of the farmers, a lot of the sellers that we're buying from the father or the mother or the widow, because the husband's dead now and she doesn't want to deal with this, or the son or daughter doesn't want to take on this part of the family farm, and they would rather produce 6-month-old sucklings and sell those. Those are easier to sell in their world than a finely crafted spirit. Yeah. And kind of like with rum, our objective is to just be a little bit ahead of the curve and have the relationships in place and established, because we care a lot about it. We're really independent bottlers that are still really learning how to gain steam and hit stride. And I don't know if we've hit our stride yet. I think Jordan and I are still learning.
Yeah.
And this is part of our learning process. And it's a real honor to represent those chateaus. And we put every chateau on the label. And it's a real honor to have those relationships. And we hope they continue. And we deeply care about them.
Well, you've done a great service to this one for sure, with the way that you've put this together.
I mean, the last time we were there, all of a sudden I'm driving down a dirt road with Jordan and our negotiant Gregoire, who's a tall ass Frenchman that's like 7 feet, 18 feet tall. He's a son of a diplomat, so he speaks 5 languages. And he's a chain smoking son of a gun. And he's like, we're going to go to this dude's house. We're like, Gregoire, can you tell us more? He's like, I can't. Like, this guy comes to the town center for festivals, and every once in a while bottles some stuff, but that's it. I have no idea. And we drive up, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, I'm in Eastern Kentucky. Like, I've been on a dirt road for 5+ minutes, and there isn't a single building around here that has an actual holding roof on it. Everything looks dilapidated. And I'm getting out of this Twingo, which is a 2-person car that fits 3 of us. And I was like, Gregoire, like, are we going to get shot? He's like, maybe. You got shot out there, so it's not a big deal. You'll just have to get some pellets pulled out of your butt, but you'll be fine. And This guy has a stack of fertilizer in front of his cellar door. So I was like, boy, this is a place full of pig shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy opens up this random door to a building that doesn't have a full roof on it. And he opens the door to a wet cellar, meaning that it's not dry, it's not concrete or anything.
Right.
And it's holding 50 barrels or 50 barrels and two massive vats, wooden vats, that he's been aging stuff since the mid 70s.
Wow.
And it's as like out of the movies. It's nothing like you can actually see or experience now here in the US.
Right. That's very cool. So does he still have stuff from the mid 70s or is wow.
Yeah. I'm drinking shit over there from the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not charred American oak, because it's not charred oak,
right.
It rests easier. It's they don't using an apple or a pear or a grape. It's kind of like using like cane sugar. It's a very soft spirit. It's not very vegetal. It's not like using a corn or a barley that can be very oily and very aggressive. These are very delicate spirits. So you have to put them in barrels very delicately. You put them in a alligator char 4, that char is going to turn that spirit into black pine sol within 2 years. It's just going to eat through it.
Right.
But because the oak is either seasoned or toasted, it doesn't have that direct impact with the alcohol that we do with charred American white oak in bourbon or rye. So everything is softer, so it can, once you get to 25 to 40 years, it's not as, if you drink a 25-year bourbon, it kind of tastes like pine sol. This doesn't have that effect. It allows the spirit, its inherent qualities to still maintain themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I said it before. I'll say it again. This is outstanding, and congratulations on finding it. This is, quite honestly, one of the best things that I've tried this year. Really enjoy that. Let's talk a little bit about music, Turner. Last time we had you on, we talked about your first concert, your first album, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna flash back to the year you were born, which if you don't mind disclosing, that was 1983. And we're going to run down the top 10 songs from the year you were born. Now,
I know one of them.
Okay, what is it?
Because that was the year that Michael Jackson released Thriller.
Yes.
So there has to be a Michael Jackson song on there.
There are actually two.
Boom.
Yeah.
Billie Jean.
See, your list is really good. We've done this with some other people, and it hasn't gone as well. But this is your list. The Police, "Every Breath You Take" was the #1 overall song for the year. You like the Police? You're a Police fan?
Yeah.
Sting, all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I see Hall & Oates up there?
You did see Hall & Oates up there.
Yeah. Thank God I got to see them live before they got in a dispute.
Yeah. I mean, now they come out. I don't know when the last time was they played anything together, but now they're talking about how much they hate each other and they're better off without each other. And
no, they're not. You don't have Hall without Oates.
Not.
You don't have Oates like.
No, you don't. I mean, it's they need to get over themselves and put their egos aside and go out there and tour casinos and county fairs or whatever they have to do now.
Yeah, but I saw them in Indianapolis 4 years ago, and they were awesome.
Yeah, that one of the just most fun music that there is. It's easy to listen to. It's always catchy. Got a hook. You know the lyrics to more songs than you think you do. I've always been a Hall & Oates fan. But number 2 was Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, and number 5 was Michael Jackson, Beat It. So you can't go wrong.
To the Heart. What a wow.
Yeah. Well, see, that made Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart, that made a big comeback this year with the Eclipse, because everybody's putting this on their Eclipse playlist, along with Dark Side of the Moon and stuff like that. Irene Cara, Flashdance. You remember Flashdance? Yeah.
Who the shit is Austin and Ingrid? Is that one? Who is that?
That is Patty Austin and James Ingram.
Okay.
You remember that song?
No, I know everybody on this list, but that one.
I'll sing for you if you want. Baby, come to me.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yep. Okay. I'm very pleased that you picked up on what that was supposed to be with my incredible vocal skills.
You're better than mine, man. I sound like a gas station attendant.
Let's see what else. Men at Work, Down Under.
Yeah.
You Men at Work fan? You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We already talked about Bonnie Tyler. It's a great song. Hall & Oates, great song. Michael Simbel, Maniac.
Yep.
You remember Maniac? Maniac. Yeah. I think, wasn't that used in a commercial recently? Yeah, I can't remember what the commercial was, but yeah.
I'm gonna just assume it's a Geico commercial.
Yes, because they're in every commercial, either a Geico commercial or some sort of drug commercial.
Insurance, man, what a racket! That's if I can pivot, rolling fork insurance. Kevin, we got you covered.
Yeah, we got you all right.
Yeah.
We've got you. Then the last one on the list, number 10, was the Rhythmics. Sweet Dreams Are Made of This.
Yeah.
I love that song. That's a fantastic song. So you've got a really good, really strong
83, baby. Great year.
It was a great year. I was sophomore in high school.
All right.
So all these things were these were part of, all these songs were part of my youth, and you got to catch up to them later on.
You got to experience Michael Jackson when he was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and yes, and got to actually see the Police when they were
when they're
together.
Before Sting broke it off.
So anything that you're listening to right now that you really like?
Oh boy, let's see. What am I listening to these days? Marilyn Manson, Sweet Dreams. How about that?
Well, yeah, that is there. That would be uncanny.
What have I found these days? I'm going to a Justin Timberlake concert with my wife next week. That'll be interesting.
All right. Yeah, he's been in the news a little bit lately.
He sure has.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a little popish.
Yeah.
So there's an indie band out there that I really like. It's kind of melodramatic, but I really like them. They're called Royal Otis.
Okay.
I'll tell you a cover that they did. You got to check it out. It's the cover's awesome.
Okay.
This is how I got into them, was because they did a particular. Let's see. I'll find it. Royal Otis. Royal Linger. Remember the song Linger? If you have to, let it linger. If you have to. Yeah. They did a cover. They're an Australian band. They did a cover of that. That's awesome. So I went through I always go through the Coachella playlist or Coachella artists.
Yeah.
Just to see if I can find someone kind of newish. Yeah. They're a little poppy, but there's this guy out there called Bleachers that I've been really into, and I'm super effing pumped that Sturgill Simpson's going to tour again.
Yes. Yes.
Because I had tickets to the last Sturgill Simpson concert that was going to be in Lexington, and then COVID canceled it.
COVID
Then he
hit, yeah.
said, "I'm not going to tour. I'm done with music." Very Sturgill,
Right.
and I'm very excited that he's coming back around again.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great. That is really great. Are you going to see him? I think he's in Lexington again.
Yeah, I might be out of town for that one. We talked about Tool last time. I
Yeah.
think I just saw Tool in Nashville. That was a lot of
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
I would be excited to see Foo Fighters at Bourbon and Beyond. That would be fun.
Yeah. I saw them there a couple years ago. I guess it was right before Taylor Hawkins passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that thing where his son came out and drummed for them?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a pussy, but I cried at that shit.
Yes. Yeah. Well, at the tribute concert, and yeah, they had all kinds of different guys coming out and playing
Yeah.
drums, and oh yeah, it was fantastic. And he's really good.
He was really good.
Yeah, legit good. Not just, oh, he's good for a kid. No,
Yeah.
he's good for anybody. Yeah. No, that's all good. All good stuff. You said Royal Otis. I actually saw a band last night called Otis.
Oh yeah.
Blues band,
Yep.
kind of Allman Brothers feel. Yeah,
Yep.
they're fantastic. Had them on the Ed Boone Froggatt, who's the lead singer, on the show a few weeks ago. They're great. But well, Turner, I want to respect your time. I know you got some little ones to tend to, but
Are you gonna be at Bourbon on the Banks this year, Kevin?
I will. Are you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We can't talk about it right now, but I got something for you, and I think it would be worth a follow up.
I'd love to do that because I'm going to get my hands on something else from this Wayward Cask series, and I apologize if I'm just pumping this too hard here, but this is, in all seriousness, this is one of the best things I've tasted. One of the best spirits I've had this year.
25-year-old juice for $150, and it hasn't sold out yet. Like that makes like I don't understand the
because look, you're doing the Lord's work here. Okay, you're the John the Baptist going out in front of everybody, telling the bourbon world about rum, and now you're getting in. They're catching on to Armagnac a little bit, but nobody knows about this stuff.
No.
Calvados, nobody knows. They don't, and you're out ahead of it, but it's going to catch up because I think the bourbon market is going to continue to soften a little bit, and people are going to be looking for different things. And hey, guess what? Turner's got different things for you to try.
Over 400 casks of different things, and they aren't just 75, 15, 10 mash bill that's only 2 years old.
Yeah, not a 95.5 rye.
I mean, I like more of a 28 to mid 30s rye in there. Like I like a higher rye in the mash bill, but yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, Turner, tell everybody again where they can find you on social media.
Please follow us at Rolling Fork Rum. That's our IG tag handle. And please go to rollingforkrum.com if you want to see anything we have available or at Sealbox. But if you want to get in touch with us, you hit us up on Instagram and we'll respond.
Yep. Turner, even before we were conversing about doing this show first time a couple years ago, you have always been very responsive to questions on social media, and so when you say hit him up on Instagram, hit him up on Instagram, because you got a question, he'll answer it for you, and you're going to get the answer from him. It's not going to be from an intern.
Yep.
Yeah. For our show, you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen on your favorite podcast platform. We have a Facebook page where we post all of our shows, including this one. We have a Facebook group where we'll post things about what we're drinking, what we're listening to while we're drinking it. I promise you in the very near future, you will see me posting something about Wayward Cask. And I'm not sure what I'll be listening to yet, but it just might be music from 1983.
Ooh,
Yeah. Or that Sturgill Simpson, Tool, who knows? You know, Tool actually might go really, really well with this.
I'm
That
I'm waiting next. I'm thinking that I'm waiting to see when that next album will drop in 10 years. It takes them like 5 years to record one, so let's
I,
go.
I've heard that they're supposed to be recording something this
Yep,
year.
yep.
But they're not doing it now because Danny Carey's out touring with
With
the King
all his
Crimson bunch, which would be very cool to see anyway. But
world's best drummer,
yeah, yeah,
ish, but he's up there.
living drummer, yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
not first, he's in the
Oh,
top 5 easy.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Kevin,
Turner,
thank you, sir.
hey, thank you. Hey, on behalf of Turner and myself, until next time, thank you for watching and cheers, love, and Freebird.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.